Jones was operating at 30% of what he could be up until this point in time. Every so often, he would uncork a long throw or make a big run. He'd be like, wow, that guy's really mobile. Wow, that guy has a really good arm. But it was so fleeting. It was so inconsistent. And it was marred by poor coaching around him that it was really hard to ever envision, for me, Daniel Jones being the guy. I had said this ever since he was drafted. I don't see it. I don't see him elevating players around him. I don't see him with the requisite fire and smarts. You need both. I don't see him being consistent enough that he could give you 2 good plays a game, but he'd make 5 bad ones. And you can't win games that way. I didn't see it. And when the Giants declined his 5th-year option back in May, it was Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen, the new administration with the Giants, saying, we don't see it either. We don't trust this guy going into the season. We're not going to make a bet on him yet. So they saw the film. They talked to people in the building. They were going to give him this year because they didn't have another option, but they certainly weren't going to bet on him at $30 million a year before he'd proven anything. And from day one, Brian Daboll fixed Daniel Jones. Now, it's not entirely fair for me to use that phrase, but I'm going to use it as an easier way to explain Daniel Jones. Jones has to be the player. And to suggest he needed to be fixed suggests almost that he was completely broken and that he brings nothing to the table. And that's not fair. His skill set is obvious. He's mobile. He's got a very even-keeled demeanor. He throws a really nice football, things that you can work with. But he was broken in the sense that, again, he was totally mixed up in his head of executing a game plan, trying to make too many big plays, being sloppy with the football, and just not being a guy you could count on every Sunday to make the right decisions and make the right plays. Yesterday, Daniel Jones becomes the first quarterback ever in a playoff game to throw for 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, and run for 70. Not Steve Young, not John Elway, not Michael Vick, not Randall Cunningham, not Patrick Mahomes, not Lamar Jackson. Nobody's ever thrown for 300, 2 touchdowns, and then run for 70. Daniel Jones did it. There's no doubt that Jones has to be your franchise guy moving forward. There's no doubt they have to give him a contract this offseason. And I think if you're a Giants fan and you were worried all season long, like, you kind of have to pay him. I don't feel great about it. Maybe you do a short-term deal. Maybe it's a 3-year deal, $25 million per. And then you start going, well, the open market's going to get more than that. After yesterday, you go, no, sign me up. Give me 5 years of Daniel Jones right now. He threw with such purpose and conviction yesterday. He ran so strong. He was so clean. And the game didn't need to come down to the Giants defense surviving the final drive. Jones put them in position to win because he hit a wide open man, Darius Slayton, running over the middle, and Slayton just flat dropped it. Jones made the right read, made the perfect throw, and Slayton dropped it. And that might have ended the game right there. Jones was sensational. And I don't think you look at yesterday and go, yeah, but the Vikings defense isn't great. They gave up the most yards out of anybody all season long. But what you saw yesterday in a tight game, because the Giants certainly aren't one of the more talented teams in the NFL, especially on offense, he's using Isaiah Hodgins, Darius Slayton, Richie James, and Daniel Bellinger, and threw for 300 yards and ran for 70. He's a guy. He's a guy. Dare I say he's a dude. And again, I was as low on Jones coming into the season as you could possibly be. Now, a healthy Saquon makes a hell of a difference as well. You saw a couple of those checkdowns yesterday that Jones made, and Saquon makes a great backhanded catch. And, I mean, he was sensational. He ran hard. I mean, a healthy Saquon. Like yesterday was what Dave Gettleman envisioned when he drafted Saquon Barkley, that you just have a guy that's such an elite athlete on the football field, strong, powerful, fast, agile, has dexterity, that, he's just a huge compliment to whatever you do at quarterback. But Daniel freaking Jones. Now, Mraz, you've been far more optimistic on Jones than I was, even though you kind of frittered out by the end of last season as well coming into this year. But, I mean, how about Daboll running the freaking Statue of Liberty?
Unreal.
With Daniel Jones, and Jones calmly executing it, putting it right behind his back like he had run the play a million times before in a playoff game. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, the reason that play's not a touchdown has nothing to do with Daniel Jones. I mean, just completely sold it, fooled me out. It was their confidence in him is unbelievable. And the throw he makes to Isaiah Hodgins when he has both feet down on the sideline. I mean,
gorgeous throw.
Daniel Jones has gotten better every single week. And this was a guy in his rookie year that set the rookie record for touchdown passes in a game. And then they got in with the doofuses of Joe Judge and Jason Garrett, and it ruined them for 2 years. I keep telling anybody this. Anybody who's still left doubting Daniel Jones right now, if this was Daniel Jones' second year in his career and not his fourth, we would be having Joe Burrow-like conversations today about Daniel Jones. But because it's his fourth year and we've seen a couple bad ones, there are still some people hesitant to give him his due. He's him at this point.
He's a dude. I mean, you go into next season, no matter what happens, and again, they could get crushed by the Eagles on Saturday night. And you're like, well, Daniel Jones is definitely our starting quarterback for the next 5 to 6 years. You don't even blink giving him a contract. And you don't say that just based on one day. As you said, all of the things he didn't do well, he tidied up the mistakes. He played with more confidence every single week. He did more with less this year than he ever did. And he plays hard and fast. And those guys like playing for him.
They love him. Stiff-arming defenders. I mean, and so calm. In that spot yesterday, a loud building. The Vikings went right down the field to start the game at 7-0. The Giants could have panicked. He could have thrown picks. And what did he do? He went out there, no big deal, shook his shoulders, and took the Giants right back down the field. Look, and I know Saquon touched the ball a lot through the air. Saquon Barkley had 9 carries in this game. 9 carries. It wasn't like a ground and pound game, and it was either Daniel Jones was going to make the throw or he was going to make the play with his legs and run the ball. He put the team on his back and carried him to a playoff win in his first ever playoff game.
And in an era now of young quarterbacks that really need to be as mobile as they are, have a good arm, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow's not a big scrambler, but obviously he's very agile. Mahomes obviously can scramble. Lamar Jackson is elite at this. These great quarterbacks, Josh Allen's a great scrambler. Jones can do that. Jones is a really great runner, and you don't want to put him in harm's way constantly, but I mean, Brian Daboll knew that was the only way that they could really win that football game yesterday. He is such an athlete back there. So I don't know, what number do you think he commands in the offseason from them?
It's impossible for me to say, but I went from a couple weeks ago saying he's going to get a 2-3 year deal. I think he's going to get maxed out at one of these 5-year deals, and I think look, I'm not saying he's going to get the Lamar Jackson deal that he made. That's a different story, but he is going to get paid top 15 quarterback money for sure. I mean, where that falls and how they structure it's for another day, but they have no choice. They have the guy, and you can't take a guy in the draft again. I mean, honestly, D.A., he woke him up week 1 on that interception and never looked back.
Exactly. And that's where woke him up came from, is that Jones throws a crushing red zone interception in that Titans opener, and Daboll comes over to the sideline and just thrashes him, just absolutely rips him a new one on the sideline. And ever since that, Jones has been a straight as an arrow QB.
Wake him up.
It's amazing. It's amazing to watch. And to think about this, if the Giants don't have to question their quarterback, like that's just a solution already for the next 5 years, that's an enormous win, because now you can build everything else around, because you need help everywhere else. But also, the targets can't get any worse. I mean, the fact that he's doing this with Darius Slayton, Isaiah Hodgins, Daniel Bellinger, the ghost of Kenny Golladay just blocking, not even catching passes.
Great block. Richie James.
I mean, if he can do it with these guys, imagine what happens when they actually draft a first-round wide receiver eventually or spend some money on a real wide receiver. It'd be insane.
Yeah. I mean, yesterday, the reason T.J. Hockenson has all those yards is because they're running everything off, Justin Jefferson and doubled. The Giants have nobody getting double-teamed. So it's just, it's incredible. That's some special stuff. And again, 4th and 1 in your own territory to end the game. You go for Daniels to do it. It's special, special stuff.
That's